that you're looking for, and I hope that they add some value to your life. So that leads us to the last thing that I want to share with you today, which I talked a little bit about earlier on, which is around this concept of life-changing decisions that a man can make. Now, I shared with you earlier on that at the beginning of this show today, that the key word when it comes to life-changing decisions is decisions. Is you actually have to make these decisions. The decisions I'm going to share with you today don't just happen by accident. These are decisions that you can make which will change the trajectory of your life, that will change the way you see life, the way in which you respond and interact with people. But ultimately, you've got to do most of the work. Ultimately, you've got to take most of the steps here, and the decision starts with you, right? Remember that miracles do not just happen by accident. They're usually triggered by something. There is momentum that has already began, and then they're activated. So is success. So is magic, right? That's what the first thing that I would share with you. So let's go into this. The first thing that I would share with you, which can be a life-changing decision, is to begin to live a life of integrity. What does a life of integrity mean? A life of integrity means that your words and your actions match. Now, I was actually talking to somebody. No, I was coaching a guy. That's where this came from. So I was coaching a guy who is a personal trainer. And he was saying to me, Kasim, 2020 business has been very bad, and I haven't been able to grow my business. And I was saying to him, oh, right, that's really interesting. Have you thought about coaching people online? And he said, no, I can't coach people online because, Cass, that's just, I'm not really good at that kind of stuff. And I said, well, why don't you learn? There's loads of courses online. There's loads of YouTube things online. You can figure out how to do it. Right, you can figure out how to put your classes online. You can figure out how to grow your audience online. Why don't you go down that route? And he was like, well, Cass, I haven't really even myself worked out in like a year. And I said to him, one of the things that you have is you are not practicing what you preach. Because I said to him, if you had a client in front of you and your client said to you that, they're not really feeling like it and they're not really sure what to do, what would you say to them? And he said, well, I'll tell them you've got to get better, all this kind of stuff. And I said, but you're not doing that stuff, which means that you are teaching people stuff that you yourself don't live by. And so what I would share with you, as using that as a metaphor, is, a lot of you guys are listening to me and you're saying, well, Kasim, the government shouldn't be like this. Well, Kasim, schooling is terrible. Well, Kasim, I can't seem to get a home, or interest rates are high, or whatever, this and that. But the question is, are you doing anything about it? What actions are you taking? You talk about people being prejudiced, but are you prejudiced, right? Would somebody else see you as prejudiced? And I tell you this because so many people I meet say this stuff to me. Oh, Kasim, I'm going to be successful. Oh, Kasim, people are so lazy. But when you examine their life, they're doing the very things that they're telling people not to do. They're doing the very things that they complain to people that people shouldn't be doing, or that people do too much, or that people do too little. And so the first thing that I would share with you, if you really want to change your life, like in a remarkable way, is begin to live a life of integrity. Ensure that the things that you say, you back them up with your actions. Second thing that I would share with you is to use your life to help other people suffer less. What I mean by this is most of us, and again, I'm generalizing here, but there's always an exception to every rule, but most people, their life is not about they don't live from a place of, how can I serve the world? They're looking and living from a place of, how can the world serve me? How much money can I earn? How much more can I travel? How much happier can I become? It's all an ego game. It's all about me. And what happens is, when you begin to shift the way you operate your life from you asking what can they do for me and what can they give for me, and you start asking what can I give you, how can I help you, how can I help you suffer less, how can I help you improve your life, remarkable things begin to happen in your life. And I wonder, in the last 6 months, how many people have you been going round to and asking them, how can I help you, how can I serve you, what can I do for you? Looking for ways in which you can use your life as a vehicle to improving other people's lives, to helping other people suffer less. Suffering means that somebody gets out of debt, somebody finds a relationship, somebody improves their relationship, somebody has a better vitality in their health, emotionally, spiritually. Somebody manages to get a pay increase or into a managerial position. How many people behind you are you helping to suffer less, right? Because suffering comes from we want this, but we're here. The gap is where suffering begins, is where suffering takes place. In that gap of I want this, but I'm here. This bit here is where all the pain and the suffering happens. So your job is to close this gap so that the person suffers less. But a lot of people are even oblivious, and we're so focused on how much I'm feeling and what I haven't got and how not enough I am, that we never actually open our view and begin to look at what everybody else is experiencing. And the funny thing about looking to serve is, and I'll put it how Zig Ziglar said it. Zig Ziglar said, if you will help enough people get what they want, you can have everything that you want. What I mean by that is, when you help other people, when you find a way, and as I say, the key word here is to find a way. When you find a way to help other people get what they want, naturally, by default, you will also get what you want. But the majority of us have not been taught to think like that. But I ask you to be different. That's why I said it's a choice to do this. Number 3 is to mentor a young person to reach their potential. Most of you know, particularly if you've watched my journal entries, that I talk a lot about the fact that you cannot call yourself a success until you have a successor. And one of the things that begins to happen, particularly begins to happen in quite a dramatic way for people, is usually when they have children or when they decide to mentor a young person. Because children will challenge you on every front. Essentially what kids do is kids become mirrors of us. Because kids, you know, if you've been a parent, one of the things that you will know is, if you tell your child to do something and then you go and not to do something or to do something, and then you go and do the very thing or don't do the very thing, guess what? Children will catch you instantly. They'll pick you up on it, right? So they become mirrors of you. And so a lot of people obviously don't have children, and some people may never have children in their life. And what ends up happening is most of us never get to the point where we actually mentor somebody behind us. Much of mentoring is about actually learning about ourselves. You know, there is some notes that I've been making on parenting, on the role of a parent. And one of the things that I've been writing as I've been making these notes is that becoming a parent is really about the child helping you to become more of yourself. The child will test you on your anger. The child will test you on your empathy. The child will test you on your ability to look at different angles. Why is this baby crying? I've given the baby milk. I've changed the baby's nappy. You have to see from so many different angles. You have to think about the future. You have to think about planning. You have to think about, okay, if we're going to go for a walk, I've got to think about snacks. I've got to think about food. I've got to think about nappies. I've got to think about a changing bag. I've got to think about the pram. I've got to think about the parking. I've got to think about the weather. Is it going to be too sunny? Is it going to be raining? That's what children will teach you. And the thing is, if they're not your own children, if you begin to mentor somebody who is younger, they will teach you all of these things about yourself. You will be shocked at how much you will learn about yourself when you begin to mentor young people. You will be shocked. Because for a lot of us, our inclination is, well, the kid is stupid, the kid is naive. But actually, kids are the purest form of humanity that you can get. They have no prejudices yet, right? They don't have opinions. They don't have ideologies. All they're operating from is instinct. If someone feels like fearful, the kid will sense fear. They will never think twice about, and they'll cry, right? They'll never think twice to say, well, they're probably not, right? The kid will just react to how the conditions that they've been placed in and the way in which people are responding around the child. So the last thing that I wanted to share with you, which is life-changing that I have found, is to live without proof and to live based on instinct and faith. Now, this is probably the most difficult thing for a lot of you guys to really activate in your life, because it's kind of like, so you're asking me to make my decisions based on instinct, based on heart, based on faith. And I am. A lot of people, unfortunately, in their lives don't really live by this. A lot of people, we're logical and everything has to make sense and everything has to be part of the plan, right? And there is a place for that. But also, a huge amount of life is about allowing life to flow, allowing life to unfold as it will. And a lot of us are so busy trying to control everything that we never actually allow life or God or the universe to take its part. Let me put it like this for you. Let's just say we get somebody who wants to, for example, grow a plant, like some flowers. Some of us are so preoccupied with controlling the weather, controlling the water, controlling the soil, that we never just water it, give it sunlight, give it sunshine, and let it grow. Let God do, or the universe do its part. And in the same token, what I would share with you is it takes courage